Hey, what's going on, guys? I haven't made a video in quite some time here, but hopefully everybody can hear me okay. You guys know I use my phone for these videos, and a lot of the times you guys can't hear me that well. So I hope it works out. But, yeah, so I have a few things that I wanted to go over here while we're having this little bit of correction on the crypto markets here. So, so let's take a look starting with ADA. So I have a lot of my own charts here already pulled up, and I don't know why it's zoomed all the way out, but for some reason it is. So let me bear with me here. Alright, so I mean, we can obviously see with ADA, hence all the wicks on the daily, that this $1 support level was massive, right? We had this beautiful, beautiful run up here, and pretty much we traded between $1.40, well, we'll call it $1.44, because we could push through it, but we could never hold support on it. And as far as support, down here at this $1 range. Now, at one point, we did rip above, consolidated here, between this $1.54 and this $1.81 roughly, and then we ripped up and we tapped this $2.44 range. Then we had a pretty good sized blow off top, I would call it, for the most part. We came all the way back to support and consolidated here with this downward sloping resistance here, created a descending triangle that eventually we broke out here. So I actually put it in a position right around this $1.32 range, and it was pretty simple to go long because I had this target up here at $2.18, and I did pull my profits up in this range. I had a sell order there, and then I was going to play it from there if we were to close a daily somewhere up in this range, or see how this played out right here. I posted earlier on my trading view that we were in this descending triangle. If we look on the hourly, we can see it a little bit more clear, but we had this descending triangle right here where we were holding this level of 203 roughly as support, and then we had this downtrending resistance right here, and once we lost it, I was talking about it potentially coming down to backtest this $1.89 area. So that was the breakdown target, which was reached. So far, we bounced a little shy of it. We're pretty overextended on the 1 hour RSI. Well, overbought, I guess you could say. But RSI is way down here in the 21, 22 range. So we are trying to bounce here. If we look down at the 30-minute, we still seem to be potentially ready for further drop potentially here. We're going to have to keep an eye on it. But one thing that I do want to point out here on ADA is this area here, roughly from 182 to this 189. So in the past here, I have my bar here, so we could pull this across actually. We got rid of some of these, and we took this box here, pulled it across. This support for me is roughly 170, and it looks like it's in the midst of all this, but if you look here, we had all these bottles, so it's actually 169. We had all these candle bodies here that we couldn't close above. We had one daily candle here that ended up rolling over anyway and starting our downtrend. But once we had a daily candle here, the following daily, that was when we took off a little bit more here, caught resistance up at the 250, but we back tested the same support zone here, and it was a pretty critical fall. That's between 169, roughly, we'll call it. So that's going to be a key area on a back test that we want to hold. Now, of course, we could make a case that this $1.89 is just as important, but unfortunately, last time we back tested it here, we fell right through and we came all the way back down. Bought back up, maintained here, cut strong resistance at the $1.89, fell all the way through. Resistance here at this, roughly $1.50, fell all the way through, and then we just blasted right through all of this. So, that being said, it kind of puts a pretty good case on two potential scenarios here. One, that there's not much resistance in any of this range. There's only support here, and potentially, which we don't even have a case to be made, that there's support right there, which right now you can see we're starting to dump a little bit more here. But that being said, we found some pretty good resistance right here at this 225 range, and we know that there's resistance up here at this 245 range. So, we do have to be cautious here, because if we were to lose this $1.89, we might find some support there at the $1.67, $1.69 area there, but in reality, it seems to me that there isn't much support there until maybe, just maybe, this, I could almost call it like this range right here. So that's a pretty big fall for ADA if we were to lose this critical area here. Like I said, it could do something like this, then fall, hit this area, then run. That's a very decent possibility. But losing this range, in my opinion, is going to be pretty critical. Unless we've managed to hold somewhere right in that area. So, these are just all things I'm going to be watching here on ADA. But the first initial area right now for me is this roughly, like I said, from 182, 180 to 189. Other than that, it's a pretty strong free fall. Sure looks like. So we're going to have to be cautious, and you can see this ugly rounding structure. So if we did manage to get a bounce, could we get another rounding structure, or could we continue up to our next area? And I'm not bearish on ADA, but I do know that there's a lot of buyers here. And look at this rounding action here. There's a lot of people buying it up at this resistance point, but we're pretty damn overextended here on the daily, which, so far we've had a little bit of a pullback here since this 91 range. You can see 91, 91, 90, 90. When the RSI is peaking in this 90 range, it seems like a pretty good sell signal, based off of this whole trend here. So that is something to keep in mind, that you could almost put a straight line across to prove it to ourselves that, hey, when the RSI gets up in this 90 range, it's a pretty normal thing for ADA to correct. And when it does peak in those ranges, I guess we could try to make something out of this RSI here if we wanted to, and maybe say that this could be our potential support zone. If we drew this all the way across here, it kind of showed the difference between the bullish and the bearish here, at least in a few times. This was potential resistance, came back down, double bottomed, resistance, head and shoulders, came down, ripped up, back tested it, double tapped, lost that support, came up, double bottom just under it, resistance, resistance, every time we lost this white line here, something to keep in mind, which is around the 64 RSI range. So that's one thing that we might want to keep our eyes on. That's just basically showing everything without any indicators. If we looked at the Ichimoku cloud on the daily, we are far from support. You know, most of our support range seems to be down in this 140 range, at least on the daily. On the 4-hour, however, if we can manage to get a bounce here, we can follow this cloud, which might give us a further run up. And that would be a very bullish case here for the trend. So we do want to watch this Ichimoku cloud on the 4-hour and see if we can start holding support here. If we do get a nice bounce, that would be amazing. However, if we started to lose any of this 180, 185, I mean, you could almost even put your stop loss below this 187 range, take a small position somewhere in this range, and see how it plays out here. You know, I'd put it below $1.80 probably, but that's just me. If I was trying to take a play up in this range, but it's a little bit scary to try to do that right now, because we're still kind of free falling here. We don't have any signs of any bottoms just yet. So, you know, I am personally just going to keep my eyes on it. I'm not trying to guess a position right now. You know, like I said, those could be solid areas of support, but that's because we want it to be. That doesn't mean that it has to be. And there's no real confluence except for, you know, obviously we have these few wicks here at $1.82. We have this one wick here to this $1.88. We have this other wick here to $1.88. And then we now are coming down to back test. So, you know, looking at this, I mean, I would probably feel more comfortable at $1.82, or at the most confident at $1.70 to re-enter, unless this thing decides to start to bounce and shows us, you know, that we can maybe double bottom here, come back up, maybe test this area, come back down, maybe make a lower low, and then we could call this some kind of 1, 2, 3 bottom formation or something of the sort. But you know, that would have to be potentially a break of this range here at the 204, and then maybe a back test of it if we ripped back to 225. Back test, hold this 204, and then we could rip. But you know, until then, we have to see what's going to happen. Are we going to continuation down, or are we going to have one wick that brings us up, double bottom on that? You know, there's many different scenarios here, but I do believe that we might need further correction or further sideways action, which, like I said, if we did manage to chop here and control this area, then we could be looking at something a little bit more beautiful forming. So that was a long video, but that was on ADA, so I'm probably going to end it there, and maybe I'll pop another video after that. But I am going to be watching this area here that we're bouncing at. I mean, so far we hit 190. You know, you don't have to wait for 189.3 exactly, but you know, like I said, you got to use stop loss if this is an idea you're looking for. Otherwise, you want to see us regain some control up in this 204 area, and then we can say that it might have been just a fake out there, and then maybe we can continue trading higher. So that's where I'm at on that anyway. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and that's all I got for now. Peace.